The following stream has been approved for all puzzle audiences by the puzzle general community.
Hello everyone, this is Razorflame-kun and welcome to Pokemon Puzzle Challenge brought to you, Tournament 2019 brought to you by Puzzle General. Today we're going to be bringing you three matches, the first of which is going to be Cards of the Heart versus Lightsen, and that's going to be in Group A. Overall, you're seeing that the overall tournament match tournament status, most of the matches have been played already, and in fact, we're going to be bringing you 5 of the 6 matches that have yet to be played this week. We're going to be showing you 3 today and 2 on Friday. So, in terms of this matchup with Cards of the Heart and Lightsen, they're both 1-1, however, because Raikou dropped out, they have yet to win on stream. So, this should be a fairly interesting match, and hopefully, Lightsen is going to be able to bring up some good matches, because there is a bit of a discrepancy between the two, our two players today in their PBs. One other thing to mention is you'll see that in Group B most of the matches have already been played. There's still one match that is yet to be played, or that has already been played but will be showing later this week, and that will determine who moves on in to the final bracket for Group B. Yep. So, as we said, first match is going to be Cards of the Heart and Lightsen. They're both 1-1. And without further ado, let us get started. A little bit of a menuing error there from Lightsen, but we're into the thick of it, and we're going to be seeing that in this game, as opposed to Pokemon Puzzle League, your opponents are a health bar, and basically you're going to want to see, by doing chains and combos, you're going to be dealing damage to the opponent, and you're going to be seeing very fast times right off the bat from Cards of the Heart. 14 seconds on Pidgey is extremely good, and we're seeing a little bit of problems with chains being, with Lightsen not being able to get chains very easily, and that might, but he's still, they're still persevering, and is going to finish Pidgey in 45 seconds. In the meantime, Cards has already pulled out to a one stage lead, and as you're seeing, you're going to be seeing a lot of different things going on with leg chains and just a masterful play already. A little bit of a miss there. The Cards had a little bit of a problem with his SNES adapter, so he's actually playing with a GameCube controller, and he missed an easy 6 combo there. But other than that, Lightsen is still doing very good. There's a little bit of they're chaining decently, but it's just there's a lot that can, as you can see, there's a lot that's going to be. He's going to be really up against it because Cards is one of the favorites to win this entire tournament. Now, Cards has pulled out to roughly a 2-stage lead, and as you're seeing, since they're a health bar, your opponents are a health bar. They have what's called a hidden power meter, where you're able, where once it's filled, they're able to make an attack, or if they're low enough, below 40% of their HP, they're able to heal. That is something that you want to avoid at all costs because it will help your opponent catch up. And we're into Primate, which starts closest to the maximum of the power gauge, so that's when you're going to be seeing he attacks immediately, whereas other opponents are not. Anyways, Cards is just getting really good. Is really good board awareness there, and is getting just masterful play, getting 7, 8, 9 chains along with a bunch of combos, setting up a bunch of leg chains, which is an advanced technique, and just masterful play. Getting sealed down in 18 seconds is really good. Top times we're looking for top players is between 15 to 20 seconds in the first 8 stages, and then in the last 5, 20 to 25 seconds. In the meantime, Cards has pulled out to a full 4-staged lead, and a little bit of a dropped chain there, but I don't think that's going to hinder him too much. Another drop chain there, but getting combos with the chains is really going to help, since the combos actually deal immediate damage, whereas chains don't. But 29 seconds is a slow time for Cards to get in Dragonair. One thing to note, it looks like Lightsen doesn't raise the stack all the way to the top, which you're actually able to do in this version of the game for a considerable period of time because of the way that the stop time works in this game. You're really able to actually be at the top of the screen for like 3 seconds before you actually lose in this game, whereas in other games it's like a second, if that. Anyways, we just blew past the siren. Jinx, worst sound in video game history. 22 seconds by Cards, which is extremely good. And we are now seeing more like these combos are absolutely ridiculous, because you have to have really good board vision in order to be able to get these, and in order to be able to get the combos in with the chains, and that's just ridiculous. 20 seconds on Crobat is very good. So it's now about a full 5-stage lead for Cards. And he's just going to town. Hitmontop, the way that they just arbitrarily decide Hitmontop to be the one that has the highest HP. We still don't know why. I mean, I guess it makes some sense because he's a fighting Pokemon. There's actually an unfortunate heal from Hitmontop, which is going to cause Cards to get a little bit of a to allow Lightsen to catch up a little bit, but not. This is pretty much a foregone conclusion at this time. Coming in, Cards of the Heart is the #1 seed for the group stage, whereas Lightsen is number 8. And overall, they're gonna be hard pressed to beat Cards. Though Cards is definitely providing opportunities with some of these slow times on Murkrow and a couple of the other slow times we've seen. But now we're on Dragonites, which is the last stage in the game, and we'll see what Cards can do with this. Nice. That's actually a really nice 8 chain, and then a leg chain on top of that into a 7 chain, which is a great start. And then it's just going to be a matter of finding, yeah, and that's going to be game. 7:30 is a really, really good time. I believe Cards' PB is a 6:51, and I don't know what Lightsen's PB was coming into this, but I think it was around 18 or 19 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere around there. But, so now we're going to focus in on Lightsen, and let's see what they are able to do. So one thing to note is you want to raise the screen all the way to the top to provide the most number of panels that you, to work with. Lightsen isn't doing that, so that's something that they might need to work on for future matches. Another thing is that you want to be constantly aware of when you're getting low on panels, you want to be able to raise the stack so you can get more panels available. Another thing that I've noticed is they're not they're chaining. In order to really beat hard in a fast time, you have to be able to get 6, 7, 8 chains pretty regularly. In fact, if you get a 9 chain on the first 2 fights, Pidgey and Kakuna, it's an instant KO because they have the same HP, and that a 9 chain instantly kills. That's a great 6 combo win with the 2 chain there, but it looks like they're focusing mostly on combos, which you don't want to do in hard mode because they're just so bulky that combos alone isn't going to be enough to do it. Anyways, now we're on to the Siren again. Let's see how Lightsen manages this. I mean, their play is that, like, that's a really nice 8 combo there. It's actually a very unusual 8 combo because it has the 2 on top and then the 6 across. It's one that I've actually not seen before, so that's good ingenuity from Lightsen to be able to see that. Another thing to note is the cursor speed of opponents. Generally, the faster you are, the better you're able to do. But if you don't have the board vision to accompany it, then you can get into trouble, because if you just have the cursor speed, and that's actually a really good chain there from Lightsen, getting a 5 chain. But even if you have the cursor speed, if you're not able to see the chains and combos, the cursor speed is going to be wasted, because you need to be able to see the chains and combos before you can actually do anything. And from what I'm seeing is Lightsen seems to be comfortable with horizontal and with easy chains. What I would consider to be easy chains, basically like shuffling the yellow across and then putting the diamonds down, or stuff like this, where you just move one panel over. And overall, this is actually good. This is still good pace for Lightsen, on PB pace at this point. Although it looks like they're struggling a little bit against Crobat. Although Crobat is a fairly difficult opponent on any difficulty. That's a nice chain continuance in. Another nice chain continuance in. And good awareness to stop the chain right at that. So that's good. I would give good marks on that match for Lightsen. in the meantime, we just see Cards playing. I think he's playing Marathon. But yeah, so I can confirm that these matches were all fully played out. So there's not going to be any lack of content in these matches. So you're going to see a large amount of puzzle challenge today. I'm seeing some good awareness on the part of combos from Lightsen, but like I said, Lightsen really needs to be able to focus more on the chains in the future. Okay, so there's a even just 2 chains help, because chains deal more damage, but there's an unfortunate heal from Hitmontop. And if you're you have to be able to bring you have to be able to bring the amount of damage that you need to in order to be able to overcome the deficit that you might get from a heal. And Hitmontop right now is in heal range, what I consider to be heal range. So let's see if we can get if Light can get finish this out. It just needs one more combo right there. That should do it. A 142, I mean, that's respectable for Lightsen, but in terms of the other players, a lot of players wouldn't be happy with that. But now we're on to Murkrow. Murkrow is actually the one with the smallest power gauge, the quickest to fill up. So he's the most dangerous opponent to face when you are having trouble chaining, because he's the one that's going to heal the most on you. Overall, Lightsen's play isn't too aggressive. Like, he's raising, but he's not raising enough. There are some points where he could raise more, and tried the 2-frame trick there. That's what I consider to be a corner grab, where you try and swap a panel in a corner or a straight line to it's a 2-frame trick, and this game runs at 60 frames per second. So it's 2/60th or 1/30th of a second that you have to get that trick, and they're difficult to get. But kudos on Lightsen for at least trying to get it. Yeah, still just hoping that Murkrow doesn't heal on Lightsen, and then Lightsen should be through onto Dragonite. Good. But Lightsen's on Dragonite, and we'll see what kind of time he gets. Dragonite's more the same of Murkrow, except that Dragonite has a larger, slightly larger power meter than Murkrow, so he's not able to attack nearly as much as Murkrow, but he still is able to attack fairly frequently, especially on later difficulties. One thing to mention is that trying to chain off of the garbage is actually really slow, and you want to try and avoid it at all costs because of that fact, because of how slow it is. So that's a nice 4-chain, and that should finish with a 1621. That actually turned out to be a PB for Lightsen. So congratulations to Lightsen for that PB. And with that, Cards does get win the first match, and we can go ahead and move on to the first round of this match, and we can go ahead and move on to the second round. Alright, on to second round. Let's see what happens here. One thing to note is that this is a best of 5, and this is a match in Group A. Anyways, we're starting, and let's see what happens along with this match. So first off, we're seeing leg chains, which are specially timed chains. So they're kind of hard to explain, but it's where you're clearing basically two different chains at the same time, but different timings, if that makes sense. You'll see cards do them fairly often. And cards breezes through Pidgey in 18 seconds, which is a very good time. You see him swapping in, swapping out panels, getting chains going, and 16 seconds on Kakuna is absolutely amazing. Meanwhile, we see Lightsen get a 4 chain and finishes up Pidgey in 56 seconds. And Cards is already out to a full stage lead. And we're just seeing great board awareness from Cards. The board awareness is what I would consider probably one of the most important, things that you need in order to be able to become really good at this game. Because if you're able to see and visualize all the chains and combos that you need, and then you have decent cursor speed, you're able to get good times in this. It's mainly just the board vision that you're gonna need in order to be able to. Wow, that 3 chain in there. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like, that was probably frame perfect, if not that, because that was so close to being a drop chain. Speaking of drop chains, very nice awareness to drop that chain there to be able to clean up gas lead by Cards. In the meantime, we're hoping that Lightsen doesn't get healed on, and Commentator's Curse, Lightsen gets healed on, which is quite unfortunate. In the meantime, we're seeing Cards having a little bit of trouble here, which is something, finding chains and keeping them, and that's something that we're not used to seeing from Cards. Usually he's able to find and finish opponents fairly quickly. He's actually the former world record holder in this category. He held a world record for quite a while before Yoshimitsu came out of hibernation and got it back fairly quickly. Anyways, we're back to Primeape, and we're seeing just a 9 with 6, and that should be enough to finish Primeape there. In the meantime, let's check in on Lightsen. Lightsen's still doing good. Still getting those chains. But back over with Cards. Getting those combos in with the chains, having the board awareness to be able to find these really quickly. A little bit of a drop there, but it didn't matter because Seal is down in 17 seconds, which is a very, very good time. Now we're on to Dragonair. Dragonair is where the HP of the opponents really starts to ramp up in hard. In fact, I believe you have to get at least a 9 chain with some combos or a full 10 chain in order to take care of Dragon, or which is a lot more than the previous opponents. And that was a very fast fight. Now we're on to the Siren again, Jinx, and we're just seeing more masterful play. Setting up chains in advance, setting up combos, and dropping the chain early so that you can get the damage from the chains is applied, and 18 seconds on Jinx is really good. One thing to mention, the exclamation mark blocks are special blocks which they deal more damage than a combo. They're called shock blocks or shock panels, and they drop a special kind of garbage onto your opponent, which clears separately from the other garbage. Although you're not going to see much of that in this game because there is no opponent field, as opposed to other games. In this game, they just denoted it as being more damaging to the opponent than other types of blocks. And we just saw Lightsen get a 4 chain, which is very good for Lightsen. Anyways, we're back on to him on top, and him on top is basically doing what him on top does and tanking a lot of damage, but that 6 combo at the end was enough to defeat him on top in 21 seconds, which is a very fast time for him on top, considering that he has the most HP out of all of the opponents in this. I believe that was actually a heal on Lightsen's side with Steelix, which is unfortunate. But a lot of things you're going to see from the top players is that they're going to add combos in with their chains, and that just helps deal the damage that you need to do. And that's actually an unfortunate heal by Murkrow there. Although that 2 chain should... Oh no! Another heal from Murkrow. Oh my goodness. That's pretty... and that was as the damage was being applied. That's something that can happen in this game, is that when damage is dealt, if the opponent was going to heal at the same time that the damage was applied, the heal just goes off and then the damage is applied. And that's what happened there, which caused cards to lose a little bit of time on Lightsen there. But again, with a full 7-stage lead, it's going to be Light's going to be very hard pressed to win this match. And just with that, Cards goes ahead and finishes it up with a 747, which is still a very good time. Again, we see Lightsen chaining off of garbage. It's not the ideal thing that you want to do, because it takes time for the garbage to turn into panels for you to use. But overall, Lightsen's been pretty consistent in their play. Getting these two chains here and there, finishing off Primate there. So let's see what we can do with Steel here. Oh, tried to get a little bit of a chain going there. It wasn't able to, but still finding all of these combos, which does help. It does deal a little bit of damage, but it just doesn't deal enough damage to be able to for you to be able to rely on it solely for damage. Good awareness by Lightsen to raise the stack when there was nothing else that you can do, but if you stay too long, you're going to end up losing, which is unfortunate, but let's see how Lightsen bounces back from that unfortunate incident. Starting off with a really good two chain 6 combination there, and like that's the kind of stuff that you're gonna need to be able to do pretty regularly on hard in order to be able to beat hard in a good time, is to be able to find those combos in with the chains. Although if you're not quite there yet, you can just do straight chains. Another unfortunate loss there, and as you can see, if your opponent defeats you in any difficulty other than intense, you actually lose that Pokemon. So in a sense, they are your lives. For lack of a better word, they're your lives. And if you run out of all your Pokemon, I believe you actually have to. I don't remember what happens, but I believe you have to restart from the. You have to restart the entire difficulty, if I remember correctly. But I haven't had that happen to me in a long time, though, so I don't know if that's actually. That's a great stagger chain there, which is when you have two chains made, but they're staggered. So like there you saw there was the straight and then the sideways. They're on two different levels, and the two blocks just fall straight into them. That's the stagger chain because it's staggered. So you'll get two chains instead of one. So that's why you got the 3 chain there instead of just a 2 chain with the 6 combo attached. So Lightsen is definitely capable of making good plays. It's just being consistent enough to be able to see these chains and combos. That you just have to. It's just something that they'll have to work on more in the future, but. Overall, showing really good awareness, like getting a 2 or 3 chain there, and we're just seeing Cards doing stage clear while he's waiting, and that's another great stagger chain into a 4 chain there, which was almost enough to finish up this entire match, or this entire opponent. Another thing to note is, as you move further on in the hard difficulty, your opponent is going to be able to start dealing more chain, start giving you larger garbage. For example, in hard, by the time you get to Dragonair, you're going to see that they're starting to do 3 chains. And then when you get to Murkrow and Dragonite at the last, in the last couple of stages, you're going to see that they are going to be able to start sending 4 chains, I believe, if not 5 chains. Although I believe 5 chains you don't get until super hard. We're seeing Lightsen struggling a little bit to figure out how to move the panels in order to deal with the garbage that Jinx sends. Jinx likes to send a bunch of different size combos, as you can see there, like 4, 5, 6. 4 being the shortest, 5 being the one on top, and 6 being the one on the bottom. And that is just something that opponents like to do. On this difficulty, some opponents like to do is they just like to send a lot of combo garbage for you to deal with, which actually is can be fairly difficult to deal with, because they just they just all turn, since they're all single line garbage box, they all clear instantly. And it's just hard to deal with. We're starting to see some good combo play here, chain play here, getting two and three chains pretty regularly now. I'm not sure if nerfs were a factor in this match, but it's definitely possible given, it's definitely possible that they were a factor in this match, given that Lightsen was going up against someone as accomplished as Cards, although it's hard to tell just from watching back a match. So at this point, you're literally forced to deal with the garbage because the garbage has gone off the top of the screen. And when that happens, you have to deal with it, otherwise you'll top out. And that's something that most speedrunners of this category want to avoid at all costs because it ends up costing a lot of time. Well, another thing to note is that coming into this match, both were even at 1-1, 1 win, 1 loss. Great awareness there by Lightsen to go ahead and finish up Crobat there. But like I said, 1-1 for both players, meaning that both players have a lot of matches left to play, and this result shouldn't discourage Lightsen. The results so far shouldn't discourage Lightsen from giving it their all in the next couple matches that they play. Now we're on to another match round with Hitmontop here. And as we've said already, Hitmontop has the most HP out of any Pokemon and in this game, and that's just I'd be really that's not a good play there, moving that over all the way over, because that they could have gotten a nice 3-chain there. They could have gotten a chain off of that. And he ended up getting, but Lightsen ended up getting a 4-chain off of that, which is really good. And that should do it for that match, or for that Pokemon there. I keep saying match. Whenever I play this game, I always consider every Pokemon to be a match of you against the Pokemon. So that, if I say match, just please bear with me. I really mean that round. But now we're back with in many people's opinions, one of the Pokemon that gives people a lot of trouble on this difficulty and other difficulties because of how fast they attack, Murkrow. Still seeing all of these nice 7-chain 7 combo there. That's another thing that I have trouble differentiating is I just for some reason I say chain and I interchange chain and combo even though they're two different things. But that was actually a pretty good time on Murkrow for Lightsen, all things considered. And we're on to the final match, final round here. Or stage, yeah, I should probably say stage. On to the final stage here. So let's see how Lightsen does on Dragonite. Good awareness to stop that from dropping, so that they could set up a 5 combo there, and we're seeing more, pretty much more of the same. A lot of combos, and then a couple of chains interspersed between the combos. Good. Oh, you shouldn't have pulled that out because you could have gotten a 4-chain there, but it's all right. Probably didn't see it at that time, which is fair to say, but overall, I would say Lightsen is consistent in what they do. They just need a bit more practice, a bit more play, and then they'll be able to really compete the next time this game comes up. But while I was saying that, Dragonite did heal, which is unfortunate, and Dragonite does drop 5 chains, so that is one thing. That 3 chain should be enough, and that's going to be the end at 2021 for Lightsen. So that round goes to Cards, who now pulls ahead 2-0. So overall, it's going to be very hard for Lightsen to win this match against Cards. I don't foresee it happening, but who knows? Crazier things can happen in this game. But we shall see in the final match, which in the final round of this match. Which will be coming up shortly. So let us see how this shakes down. And we're off. So one other thing I should mention is a lot of speedrunners of this game tend to choose Chikorita as their Pokemon. The only reason why is because choosing any other Pokemon loses them frames, and that is to do with the fact that Chikorita is a default selected Pokemon, so that's why everyone uses Chikorita. And while I was talking there, Cards get it, so a 14 on Pidgey, which is extremely good. Anything under 15 seconds is a very good time in this difficulty. And we're just more masterful play. A little bit of a faux pas there, but it shouldn't be. Yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult. All it needs is a 4-chain, and that should. A 4 combo, and that should finish that off there. And already we're off to a full stage lead for Cards. So Clefairy does have a bit more HP than Kakuna and the others. Leg chain there really just it blows my mind seeing all the top players doing all these leg chains, because they're really, like, when I say leg chain is advanced technique, it is a really advanced technique, because you have to juggle usually you have to juggle two different chain stacks at the same time, which is very hard to do. But we're seeing the board awareness from Cards. His cursor speed is still good, but it's not one of the best. It's not like FFR Pro or Yoshimitsu's cursor speed, but he gets the job done with his superior board awareness. I would say he's one of the top players in terms of board awareness, which is extremely, like I said, I would say it's the most important thing in this entire game, because if you cursor speed is only as good as can only get you so far, because you need to be able to see what you want to do, and if you're not able to see if you're not able to see the chains or combos, then cursor speed won't matter, no matter how fast you are. right there we saw Cards getting dropping a few chains, having a little bit of trouble there, which is a bit still unusual to see, but since he was playing with a backup controller, since his SNES adapter broke or wasn't working at this time, he was playing with a GameCube controller. So it's still very impressive to see this level of play at with a GameCube controller. Like, and I'm the first to admit that a GameCube controller has a really small D-pad. So it's just amazing to see this level of play out of Cards with such a small D-pad to work with. In the meantime, we see Lightsen finishing up the fairy with a nice 3-chain there. But again, and tried to do the corner grab there to get 6-chain there on Card's side. Setting up the 7 combo there. And then going right back in chaining with more combos. But that heal! Oh my god, that heal. But Cards was able to deal with that heal pretty quickly. Yeah, that's in terms of the feedback that that people have about this game. One of the big negatives that a lot of people have with this game is the heal mechanic. They really did not like the heal mechanic. But at the time, I guess the makers of this game decided that it was a good thing to have, and I just think that they just made a game that could have been all skill and execution into one that has loads of RNG, and that's just this game is still good, still a really good game. You know, if you're not a fan of it, I can understand why. Anyways, we're 18 or 19 seconds. Dragonair from it's really like that's really fast. 21-second Jinx to follow up. Like I said, you're looking for 20 to 25 second times. If you 20 in any of the Elite Four stages, then you're really set. One thing to note is that Cards does not level the stack out at the beginning. But you're actually costing yourself several seconds every time you do it, because depending upon how the stack. The little switch there caused him to drop the chain, but I think that was intentional. But like I was saying, spending the time to level the stack out does eat into the times. So most of the top players don't do that and just deal with the different levels of stacks. And they just deal with it. And even some of the middle level players do it as well, just because it just helps them get, it just helps them later on. And that is a really ridiculous 2-chain there by Cards. It was like pretty much frame. Yeah, that was really difficult, but again, a little bit of slow time. He did drop a chain there, but he did end up finishing the match pretty quickly. Now on to the bane of most speedrunners' existence, Murkrow. Meanwhile, Lightsen does get a 52-second on Primeape, which is fast for Lightsen standard. I've seen most of his matches end up being, or most of the stages end up being in the minute to minute and a half range, so 52 seconds is good for him. That is another really ridiculous combo there by Cards. One that I would not have seen. And with that, Cards moves on to the final opponents of this match. So let's see how he does. Immediately going into chain. Moving it's just really impressive to watch all this. Just a 9-chain like that, and then just absolutely absolutely masterful play, and with a 751, that's going to be it for Lightsen, unfortunately. He put up a valiant effort, but Cards was just too strong for him at this point. But let's see how Lightsen finishes this out. So Lightsen's not being as aggressive as they could be. They could raise the stack all the way to the top, but it just depends on how comfortable you are playing playing at the top of the stack. If you're not comfortable playing at the top of the stack, then I would not advise you to do that. If you are, then by all means go ahead and do it because it'll help you get faster times. And this is actually really, really quick. Lightsen's making very quick work of Dragonair so far, getting him down pretty far until he healed. He was about a quarter health left in 32 seconds, which is very fast for Lightsen standards. Setting up that 2 into a 3. Tried to get a 4 there with the additional combo, but it was just a little bit too early on that there. And then a little bit too late there to get the chain there. But we go ahead and see that Lightsen does go ahead and finish up that match. That was a really good stagger plus combo chain. This one that you actually rarely see there. That's really good. Like really good awareness by Lightsen to be able to do that. That does deal a lot of damage, and there's another chain with a combo attached to it. And as you can see, it's just willing the HP down more and more. Which is just needs any chain or combo. There, that should do it. Although if you that should still do it though. It's just when you see your opponent's already low health, and you're able to gauge how much HP you've dealt in damage. If you think you've dealt enough, you should end the chain immediately, because if you end the chain early, then the damage is applied from the chains. And that's something that you want to have happen as soon as possible, especially if they're low HP, because you don't want them to get a heal off. But Lightsen is making very, very good time. Really entering stage 10 at 1140, which is actually, they're probably on PB pace at this point. So I would be pretty nervous, especially in a tournament setting, to be in PB pace. And remember, they already got 1 PB during this match. So let's see if they can go ahead and get another good time going. Nice awareness there to get the 2 chain, and then the lucky 3 chain there to deal more damage. And we see Crowbat being a bully there. More good awareness to do that. To drop the stack 1 so that he can clear the garbage. And we're just overall seeing good awareness. Into more chain, into combo, and that's gonna do it for that stage. Ahead we have Hitmontop. again, he has the most HP in the entire game. And still don't know why. Probably because he's fighting type. Makes sense. We didn't see. There's two glitches that we actually didn't see in this match, which is interesting. We didn't see the 0 HP glitch, which happens when the rounding due to the damage gets a little weird, and it ends up rounding the damage down so that it looks like they have no health left, but they end up actually having like the fraction, and that is a really nice leg chain by Lightsen to finish off him on top in 48 seconds, which I believe is his fastest finish of him on top. But like I was saying, we don't know why it happens, but it's just an error in the rounding damage formula, which makes it appear as if they have 0 health, and when in fact they actually still have a sliver of health, and usually that leads into them getting a heal off without you being able to do anything about it, or you having to deal a lot more extra damage in order to be able to finish them off. But more often than not, it usually ends up with them having getting basically what I would call a free heal off, and it's a really annoying bug that happens. The other bug that I don't think I saw happen in this match is the damage glitch, or it's not really a glitch, it's like a oversight or something, where the damage formula, when you get 2 chains really close together, usually when you get a leg chain, damage from the last chain in that chain is not applied. So if you get a 3 chain, nice 3 chain there, speaking of which, but if you get a 2 and 3 chain back to back within quick succession, the damage from the 3 chain would not be applied. And it's I don't think we know why that happens either, but it's another thing to watch out for. And we are actually seeing Lightsen on PB pace. If Lightsen finishes off Dragonite in less than a minute, then Lightsen will get another PB. So let's see if Lightsen's able to pull it off. Getting off to somewhat of a slow start, but we should be. You should be able to see that good awareness there to get to the 2 chain. It's all going to come down to whether or not you get a heal from Dragonite. If you do not get a heal from Dragonite, I think this will be good. Although it's starting to look like it might be a little too late, because I believe just based on the color of the splits, just turned red, which probably means that just barely missed out on that PB by 10 or so seconds. But there we go. We see Lightsen finish off with strong with a 1640, which is 12 seconds off his PB. So congrats to Lightsen for being able to get that. And next, for you, we are going to be bringing you another match involving Cards of the Heart, so stay tuned for that.